Love it. Back with Dakota. How are you, my man?
I'm doing good. How are you today, Taylor?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Nice and early. I love getting at it in the morning, man.
That's right. Let's get to it while our brains are fresh. Don't got all that
That's
clutter
right.
in there from the day.
That's for sure, man. And speaking of new and fresh, it's the new guard this episode, man.
Yes, sir.
Um, what were your general feelings on this episode here?
This is where hip hop takes off, man. This is where it
Yeah.
goes mainstream. Like we talked a little bit about it going mainstream last week in our episode 2, but this is really where it takes off mainstream. And
For sure.
and gets right to the root of hip hop as well, instead of
Yeah.
it's like the gimmicks are being taken away now, and now it's forget the gimmicks, here's the real stuff. This is real hip hop.
No, you're bang on, man. It's no longer the pizzazz and flash, and was it Grandmaster Kaz who mentioned in this episode where he had 7 belts and fox fur around the shoulders and an eye patch and
Ladies
yeah, it's
panties on his shoulder. Oh my gosh, yeah. Their outfits were ridiculous. And
yeah. Yeah, I remember I think it was the first time we chatted about this, off the podcast. But it was you sent me a picture. I think it was like it was like the Furious Five,
yep.
and they were like all in like leopard like skin.
Oh
It
my
was awesome,
gosh.
man.
It's next level. Like why they thought they needed to do that. I think he was saying at the time, Grandmaster Cass was saying like these outfits that they were wearing were like $1,000 or more outfits and
Jeez.
ridiculous. Like they had personal tailors on the road and everything, and
Yeah.
and meanwhile, like, well, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but enter Run-DMC with the what did they call it? Uh, the hood uniform. That's what they were calling it. It was the hood
That's
uniform
right.
with the Adidas and the jumpsuits and everything like that. Like just getting right to it. I think
Yeah.
Kaz was saying that that's how they were dressing before they went to their shows, and then they put on all this ridiculous stuff. Anyway.
Yeah. No, it was good, man. It was a good a good change, a necessary change. Let's say that, because I think the other thing is they were trying to emulate the pop stars at the time, which I think were Rick James and a few other stars that just dress crazy. So I think they tried to match that, and
You're
then
right. Yep.
yeah, thankfully they came back to earth. But yeah, this episode started off with Russell Simmons. Yeah, what did you think about him?
Yeah, Russell Simmons back down to Hollis, Queens. Yeah, Russell, he's a visionary, man. He's a
Yeah.
visionary, and uh, it's pretty amazing that he was able to make it out of such a bad spot. Hollis, Queens being like the heroin capital. You know,
Yeah.
I think he was talking about how he was slanging weed. Some of his other buddies were slanging different, like harder dope, and a lot of those guys didn't get out, but he was able to. Um, you know, and I think that's like that's the real American dream, being able to come out of the cracks and be able to become this incredibly talented person, putting on more incredibly talented people, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I love the word visionary because maybe it is that type of vision to see that okay, well I'm slinging dope or weed or whatever it is to pay the bills and get some money, and if I don't know what my next step is or have a vision or a concrete goal, then there's no you will never get out, right? Because you'll make money, make money. Something will go bad eventually because that's a trade that um the life expectancy is not very long. So
Yeah.
if you're always doing that and you don't have a next step, or what will I do with this money, then you're stuck, right? And I think that's why a lot of his friends couldn't get out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
For sure. And I think that's one thing I love to tell. Like, I'm never gonna tell anyone what to do, but like, for people listening, and ourselves too, I think we're starting to have those concrete goals and timelines, and knowing that we're gonna get out, we're gonna make it and get to that next step, because we're tired of being stuck in the cracks, like you mentioned, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, and you mentioned putting another guy on because he realized, okay, I want to be in this rap game. I want to do something with this, and it's not just street level. I know it can get bigger, and the first person he ran into is Curtis Blow.
That's right. Yeah, he was putting on a little. So Russell Simmons was
Mm-hmm.
well known for putting on these parties. Um, One of the first parties that was a real big deal. Grandmaster Flash of all people showed up,
Yeah, yeah,
and he had Curtis Blow as his MC. So that's something that I never really paid attention to the first time we went through this, or the second time even, when we did this off the podcast. But yeah, it was Grandmaster Flash who put Curtis Blow on as an MC, gave him that first shot at one of Russell Simmons' parties. And then Russell Simmons just ran with that, right? So he got right down to business, putting Curtis onto a Christmas rap, and
yeah,
then chasing down a DJ that would put it on air, right?
yeah. And to go back to Grandmaster Flash and Curtis Blow, doesn't talent attract talent?
Yes.
There's something to be said about that, because it's amazing how you look in, like, anything in the past of people working together and finding others to work with. It's always a really talented person working with another really talented person,
Yeah.
and I think you and I are surprised, but probably Grandmaster is probably like, hey, this guy's gonna be the next big thing. I can already hear it and listen to his rhymes.
Yeah.
Can I DJ for you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you think of finding that DJ Frankie Crocker to play on the radio, where they bring him in, put Christmas rap on, tell everyone to go crazy, start dancing once it's on. Frankie like hears the song, sees the people going crazy, goes up to the DJ and say, "Who's this?" That's Curtis Blow, and he's over there. What do you think about that, in the sense of loading the room?
Yes. I'm glad you said that. So
Yeah.
it totally reminds me of um what was that battle between
Oh, Grandmaster Kaz and the Cold Crush versus
yeah,
um
the Fantastic Five.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so it totally reminded me of that, you know, loading the room, and but the only he was only competing with himself. He just wanted everybody to see how great his stuff was. And by loading the room, by having everybody jump up and start dancing to it, he really did make. Well, I suppose it was Russell who loaded the room and made Curtis Blow look way bigger than he was. That worked so well in that rap battle between the Fantastic Five and the Cold Crush brothers, to the point where the Fantastic Five, they didn't even have as good of music,
yeah,
but they won that rap battle, right? So
yep,
so here we have a rinse and recycle of this same kind of idea, and it worked. I think it's,
yeah.
from an agent standpoint, I think it's a brilliant move. And you know, I wonder if that would work in today's society, but that may be a topic for another time.
Yeah, maybe, but I do like you bringing that up, because, that's a tactic that I don't know necessarily in everyday life you could use it, but it's kind of, to me, making your own luck, right?
Yeah.
You have the opportunity, and you're preparing for it, right? You're preparing people, you're preparing things, getting everything in place. The opportunity Frankie Crocker walks in, boom, you put it together, right? So you're kind of making your own luck. So, is it dirty? Is it bad? I don't. It, it's it's creating luck, right? So
Yeah, stacking the cards in your favor. And I
yeah,
mean, when you're playing to win, you want those cards stacked in your favor. So I respect it. I think it's a good move.
yeah. And what I love about it is it really doesn't hurt anyone, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the key, right? You're not sleazy, you're parasiting anyone. You're just stacking the deck, getting the best chance you can, and hey, there's an ace on top. Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And moving on, we hear, and I didn't hear this the first couple times we watched this, the Beatles of hip hop,
Yeah,
Run-DMC.
right.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the maneuver between there is Curtis Blow had he had his own vision of what his music was supposed to be, and although Russell was producing him, he Russell wanted more creative control over the project. Curtis Blow was his own visionary, right? He was really kind of the first solo artist in the rap game. And
Yeah.
then, so Russell wanted a little more say in the creative control, and so then we have Run DMC, the Beatles of hip hop. So okay, so in Run, you've got help me out here. So it was Russell's brother.
And so there was three of them, right?
Yes. So yeah. So Run, Joseph Run Simmons, Daryl DMC McDaniel's, and Jason Jam Master J on the turntables.
Jeez. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So that's where. So Joe Joe Simmons, he had been doing a lot of this. He'd been on the game anyways because of his older brother. So he had DJ'd for Curtis Blow, and he had done this and that, and you know, so I think that's where our boy Russell thought, if I put on my little brother, that's where I get a little more creative input. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I think the smartest thing that he ever did was coming up with that hood uniform. Making
Yep.
making the first brand out of out of his hip hop group. So, like putting them on, putting out the song My Adidas, and then calling Adidas out on it and saying, hey, we're advertising you. Your sales are clearly going up. You better put us on. The first non-athletic uh, people to be put on by an athletic apparel company, right? So that's a
Yeah.
pretty big deal, man. That's a first in hip hop right there.
That's right. They are the first of a lot of things, and that three stripe was definitely one of them. And again, did he not load the room? Like, did he not make it a bigger, a bigger loading the room of? Because I think he brought the Adidas agent down to Madison Square Gardens when Run DMC was performing My Adidas, and then at one point in the show they say, "Take your shoe off and show," and everyone
Whoa.
pulls their shoe off and holds up an Adidas shoe, and as an agent you're like, "Holy smokes, is it 20,000 people?" I think they mentioned, all holding up a shoe, and it's just like, whoa, again, same tactic, just a bigger stage, right?
Hey, when you've got the recipe, and it works, why reimagine it? Just go with what you know.
For sure. Absolutely, man. And then also the power of branding, right? Because I think a lot of people, not even kids, like listening to that, bought Adidas shoes, started dressing like Run DMC, had the Adidas, jumpsuit, had the Kango hats now, and yeah, the power branding in the 80s, and now we see what branding and YouTube channels and YouTubers and everyone is doing now, right? It's kind of like they're the first in hip hop, anyways, to start doing that.
Yeah, and really, like, it's you're right. There's so many people that have reused that recipe since then. It was something that really worked for them, and I think that they were some of the first people to do it. And now, how many people has it worked for since? You've got all of these sensations running around just reusing the same old scenario that these guys were pulling back in the early 80s.
Yeah, yeah. It's just funny how the world works, right? But yeah, it's working. It worked then, and it's working now for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we jumped to, I think in the show we jumped to Rick Rubin,
Yes.
the white punk rocker who, has a taste for hip hop and, is co-founder of Def Jam.
Yeah. Yeah, so if Russell was the visionary for where things go, Rick Rubin was the visionary for the music. He was the one that just heard it before, he knew what was going to be hot. So he put out that record by T. La Rock, and when Russell Simmons went looking for the man that produced this, he could not believe that he found a white boy. He thought there was no way a white boy could have produced this. And next thing you know, these guys are rubbing elbows, they're talking, and they come up with Def Jam, one of the highest profitable record labels of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. What I love too is how it came together was Russell was also looking for at the same time looking to kind of partner with someone bigger, right? Oh, bigger, go big, and they'll buy me out, and I'll be able to do this. And he realized that the opportunity right in front of you with Rick Rubin here, I can do a lot more because I have a lot more creative freedom.
Yep.
And I can go from ground zero of, I think they were speaking with one of the original members. She was saying that there are 4 people and like 2 desks and no air conditioning, and you go from that to when Shad was interviewing him in like a gated community in California.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, he's not in Hollis, Queens anymore, that's for sure.
No, so yeah, he's like the visionary, right? You saw what I have now, but where can it get to, right? And yeah, Def Jam, like you said, one of the best and highest grossing record companies out there, and they just started signing people, right? Like, well, LL Cool J called them, did he not?
Yeah, daily. LL Cool J's daily putting his call in. Hey, did you hear this? Did you hear this yet? Trying to get on, because he sees what Run-DMC is doing. He sees what these guys are producing and putting out, and he's like, I want in.
Yeah, get me in there. And I feel like that's when you made it, when people are calling you instead of you're calling them to be on your record label, right?
Yeah.
And next up was the Beastie Boys. I know we talked about them, I think the first round through, saying that's what introduced me to hip-hop with my brother.
Yeah. Well, and out of this episode too, it was actually Ad Rock that brought that demo tape to Rick Rubin. So LL Cool J, he listened to LL Cool J's demo tape, and he's like, actually, Rick, you got to hear this, right? So
yeah,
a connection that I didn't know before this episode was that Rick Rubin was actually the DJ of the Beastie Boys.
And I didn't know that either. I did not until, this time through.
Yeah,
and
DJ RR.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know you're a DJ and a producer when you're doing the car test, right?
Yes, the car test. This is my favorite. So,
Talk to us about it, man.
okay, so back in the day, I had a pretty good system, sound system in my truck when I was just a young punk driving around, and you know, listening to how Rick would he would perfect his sound up in the booth, but then sorry, I shouldn't say he would perfect it. He would produce his sound up in the booth, but then to perfect his sound, he would take that tape down, put it into his buddy's car stereo, and that was Jam Master Jay, I believe. Uh,
Yeah.
Put it into his car stereo and listen to it. And if it didn't hit quite right, he would go back up to the lab, make his tweaks, and then come back down. And I tell you, I have always thought that the car stereo gives you a way better sound than anything that you can get on a home system. So I am a big fan of this.
That is amazing, man. And I swear to you, it's probably still used to this day, right?
Yeah.
Like you, especially when you want to make something that's gonna bump and give you some sound, boy.
Yeah.
You know, this is the ultimate test for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What did you think? Because you mentioned Rick Rubin was the DJ, and you watch Fight for Your Right to Party, and you watch that video, and he's in it, and it's like, oh, that's who that was.
Yeah.
Getting pie in the face, and the Beastie Boys again, White America, comical. So I think everyone can turn that on, have a laugh, and enjoy the lyrics and entertaining, right? Like I love that was incorporated into Def Jam too, right? Like it wasn't just Run-DMC, it wasn't just LL Cool J, it wasn't just Curtis Blow. It was you had a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and that video, like you're saying, to see these guys partying together, because that's just a party video. You got to fight for your
Yeah.
right to party, and all of these like superstars before they were like as colossally huge as they are now. They were still big back then. Don't get me wrong, but they're giants. They're titans now of industry. To see all of them partying together like it's no big deal, like it looked like it was just a home video taken. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, no, that's pretty incredible. To be in that party would have been an amazing thing, eh?
For sure, man. It's like the ultimate college party, right? Where you
Yeah.
just video taping everything. Oh man, that is such a funny video. If you're listening and you haven't seen, "Fight for Right to Party" by the Beastie Boys, turn that on and it's a good chuckle.
Yeah.
And what I love too is because they went from this, and the next clip on the show was, Run DMC working with Aerosmith, man,
Yeah.
right? And we're talking about breaking down barriers. This was it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what was so interesting to me was the pushback from Run DMC, and Daryl was doing the talking there, and he's saying, "I don't want to do this," and Russell's yelling at him, "Do it, you're just a punk kid, just do it, just what I mean?"
Yeah.
And the last thing Daryl says is, "It changed my life."
Well, to think about that, right? Because you got to think of the relationship too. Because Daryl, Daryl and Joe were basically younger brothers. Joe literally was a younger brother to Russell Simmons, and so there's this I know better than you. I'm the producer. Just listen and do it. And plus, it's an older brother scenario, so I can see the pushback. I can I can just imagine though Daryl yelling at him over the phone, "I'm not rhyming on this country bumpkin shit." you know?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like he said, wow, did it ever change everything? So
yeah,
we were just talking about that last music video from the Beastie Boys, and how to see all those guys partying in there now, is even a bigger deal than it was. Yeah, it's because of moments like this where that song, that collaboration on Walk This Way, really launched Run DMC into the, the outer limits of hip hop. Like, this had never reached white America how it did after this, This was a
Yeah,
turning point for hip hop.
it really was, man, because now they're on, there's covers of Rolling Stones, which is typically a rock kind of, you know, a rock album, or sorry, a rock magazine, pardon me. And you're also doing interviews with talk shows, so it's not just hip hop anymore. It's everywhere, right? And
Yeah.
I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago too, of the actual physical mu- music video of them breaking down a wall, breaking down the barriers, right? And it's one people could say that okay, it's hip hop meeting rock. Another person would say it's rock being more entwined in the hip hop community, hip hop going more into to rock, and the third person might just say it's Black America, White America, and we're
Yeah.
coming together, right?
Wow. Yeah, no, there's definitely many, many ways that you could read into that.
For sure. And yeah, that's it. That's another music video that's worth a look too. Walk This Way, and you know, Mick Jagger doing was it a front flip, a back flip? And I'm
Whoa,
thinking,
whoa, whoa.
whoa.
Hold on one second here,
Oh no, something, Tyler. I'm so sorry.
buddy.
This is getting cut out. This is getting. This Dakota. Please forget everything. We're doing this from the top. I just screwed up. I just
No
ruined
way.
it.
I think this is gold. This has got to stay.
This is. No.
We're not rock historians,
That's
So you can have a pass on this one.
yeah, it was John Lennon, wasn't it?
Yeah, all these country bumpkins look the same, don't they? Yeah, that'd be
no.
Steven Tyler on that one there,
Thank-
buddy.
Oh no, yeah, Steven Tyler doing a front flip or back flip. I apologize, but oh no. But shoot, to save face, I gotta change topics here. I apologize. Let's jump to Marley Marl.
Marley Marl, yes.
And this again to me, like we go back to the potential.
Yeah.
The potential of people, right? And someone who's not well known in terms of like the big scale of knowing hip hop artists and things. Marley Marl's a lesser known person, but he changed the game. Like he changed,
he really
and
did.
they mentioned an era.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it blows my mind to think, because what he did was he basically created his own beats. Like you now didn't need to rap over an R&B set or rap over a funk set or something in the past. You could make your own beat, which kind of blows my mind to think that before him you couldn't do your own thing.
Yeah, so it was specifically the drum machine, right? So
Yeah.
he took all those samples, obscure samples of different snares or hi-hats or 808s, whatever the case may be, and he made his own samples, creating his own drum machine, which so everybody had the basic, out of the box drum machine where it had, your standard hi-hat, your standard kick drum, your standard whatever. But this changed it up, because you take that Run DMC, they were kind of the first people to just come out with just the beat, right? Like, forget the guitar, forget all of the other crap, let's just do this over just a beat. And that's what Run DMC really brought to the game. But Marley Marl changed it up. He changed it up because he said, yeah, let's do that, but let's get some of these obscure sounds that nobody's ever heard before, and let's throw that in and make it sound a little bit more gritty, like he really had a way to make it sound distorted and gritty, but like amazing at the same time, you know?
Yeah. And I can't even imagine hearing that for the first time, right? Like you go like back in the early 80s when this was happening from okay da 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 and then you hear Marley Marl. I would have fell over, right?
Yeah.
Cuz he was even saying him creating it and understanding it was like a week of just like awestruck of I have the power to do this. You know,
Yeah.
like
No one man should have
jeez.
all that power.
That's right. Yeah, man, it's amazing, and I think they jumped to. This is one thing I want to ask you because they went to Big Daddy Kane next.
Yeah.
Did Marley Marl do stuff for Big Daddy?
Yeah, Marley Marl put
Okay.
Big Daddy Kane on. Big
Oh,
time.
okay.
Big time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's
So
yeah.
he
Go ahead.
so Big Daddy Kane and Biz Markie were battle rappers, and I think Marley Marl kind of took them both under their wing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so cool because it's funny because last week I was just jamming out and I put Big Daddy Kane's it's a it's a it's a Big Daddy thing that album
Yeah.
and that is spectacular and it's just
It's
funny
so
that
good.
you know it's still you still can listen to it today and be blown away, right? Like just his deep voice mixed with just again a battle rapper persona and lyrics where you're just slapping people. You feel like you get
Yeah.
slap, and yeah, it's awesome.
But doing that all as the cool, calm, collected man that he was, right? Like
Yeah.
he definitely the definition of a smooth operator.
Yeah, that's a great track, man. Oh, that's actually now I'm gonna have to listen to that after we're done, man. That's smooth.
Right? I was just thinking
Yeah.
that too. Like, oh man, I should have done a little more listening on this. I remember we did this the last time we went around on this series of episodes. We did a little bit extra work listening to some of these artists, and I was not disappointed.
No, no, that's right. And like it's so much fun for me to go back and listen to some of this. Like we did do Big Daddy Kane, we did do some Run-DMC, we did do Curtis Blow, like
Rakim, yeah,
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 yeah, that's right. And I'm thinking I would even love to take some more time to some of the names that were referenced, like
yeah,
Jazzy J was a guy, Marley Marl. I'd love to hear just his stuff,
yeah.
you know, without the rapper, just to see what his original beats were, because you must have just been playing like so much, having so much fun, just creating your own sound, right? So to hear
Absolutely.
some of that, but yeah, and one of those names you mentioned, Eric.B and Rakim's another legend, man. Paid in Full, what a great album that was.
Yep.
And you think Big Daddy Kane, is that calm, that persona. Eric B and Rakim, especially Rakim.
Yeah.
What a voice, man. What a
Yeah, man.
sound.
Absolutely. And it's that conscious rap, like that rap with a message behind it, man. Like that shit is
Yeah,
strong. Yeah.
yeah. And not that you have to pick between Big Daddy Kane or Rakim, because I think at the time they were kind of, on their game, and it was kind of one or the other. I'd rather not choose one, but I love just listening to the conscious rap.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm always at. If you put that on of, okay, you can talk about someone else, or you can talk about parties, or you can talk about whatever it is, but if you're talking about something with the message of, you know, getting better or changing society for the better or whatever it is, that will have me hooked every
Yep.
day of the week. So
Absolutely.
for sure. Um, and then they slide into, because it's conscious rap, they slide into Public Enemy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Public Enemy? Or what are your thoughts on Rakim? I didn't let you finish. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, Rakim, man, that that man is one of those that completely changed everything after him too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
as a little shorty, like like 10 and trying to get on the mic, uh, he was just around it forever, and you could tell through those years just being submersed in it that he really developed as a rhyme writer and as a artist himself, just through all of that years of just being submersed in it. It showed his technique was polished. But Public Enemy, yeah, you want to talk about Chuck D and Flava Flav, uh, yeah,
MC DJ Flavor Flav.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, what a character! Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, at the
Yeah.
time, the Clash was really big
Yep.
in over in Europe, and yeah, and the Clash meets Run-DMC. Yeah,
Yep.
what's your take on that?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so I think so. I think so too, man. Because I don't know the Clash that well, but you kind of know the background, and obviously the song "I Fought the Law" and the Law Won. I
Yeah.
fought the law and the Law Won, right? So it was kind of the whole geopolitical of the police are just taking over. Like they just have no checks and balances, and they're just attacking people at will, and for people especially in New York, right, like black people, it's doubly so, right, where
Absolutely.
black people are, and it was it used to be covert, well, it never used to be covert, but it just seemed to be happening more frequently, and what a time for Chuck D and Flavor Flav to talk about you know stuff like this, because it didn't get talked about, right? So now you're rapping about it, and everyone's listening and like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I
Yeah.
thought it's just such a perfect time and such a perfect, again. It seems like the theme of a lot of these artists here is their flow and their voice, right?
Mhm.
And you add the message to it. Like I look at like Big Daddy Kane, great voice, great flow. Eric.B, amazing flow, great voice. Public Enemy, Chuck D's voice, you could hear in it. It sounds like a radio broadcaster of, for Black Panthers, right? Like it's just,
Yeah.
you hear that, and then Flavor Flav has that kind of higher voice, and it's just like such a nice blend. And then you add, conscious rap with the message, and it's just what a group, man.
Yeah, yeah, and some lines that really grab you too. Like the one that they mentioned in the episode was Elvis was a hero, but not to me. Fuck him and John Wayne too. Like that's that's gonna grab your attention right there. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you're gonna be like, "What are these guys saying?" Oh man, I gotta go back and listen to that. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
But-
And I think that was the song "Fight the Power" too, right?
yeah. But
Like,
but
oh,
there's more
man.
than just that though. There's more message behind it. It's just there's a couple lines that just really grab and pull you in, right? So
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And yeah, I know, I know too, because if you see the videos, Flavor Flav, immediately is gonna grab your attention when you see a man with a clock around his neck, because you know what time it is. But yeah, like this is another quality episode, man, that just reinforces my love of hip hop, man. Like it just reinforces why why I'm here and why we're both here, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is the beginning. This is the beginning for me. This is the era that my love of this, this music came from. So, this I would say is such a huge crucial point to so many people, especially, like we've just covered the crossover between white America over into hip hop, getting this look into what things are like over on this side. You know, it's a huge part of the history of this.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. And maybe what we can do is, and sorry, I'm going off the cuff here, but sometimes that's the best way to do it.
For sure.
Is maybe at the end of every episode we recommend, let's call it two songs, two
Okay.
songs each,
Yeah.
and because I'm talking, I'll go first. So the first song I'm going to recommend is by Public Enemy, "Fight the Power,"
Yeah.
and maybe we describe kind of what our feeling was when we first listened to it and why I'm recommending it. So
Okay.
my first feeling of this song was, it was one of the first songs that I listened to that made me realize that rap is more than just party beats and rhymes. It can be about something,
Mm-hmm.
and the feeling that I got after listening to it was like, yeah, the world's not right. Like,
Yeah.
if something happens to you, you gotta stand up, and it's not fight back or violence, but as a kid, you gotta tell, you know, the teacher to sort it out, or you can't just be quiet and let it happen, right? You gotta
Yeah.
let someone know, and it's, as a grown person, you can't just watch something happen and not say anything. You have a
Turn a
voice.
blind eye. Yeah.
Exactly. Fight the power. So
Yeah.
that's the first one I'm going to recommend. I'm going to shoot it over to you. Do you have something that
Yeah.
you have, or I could go?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead then.
definitely. So with that one, full disclosure, I'm sure I heard it many times before we watched these episodes, but I hadn't really picked it apart until we had gone through these uh, hip hop evolution episodes, and because of that influence, I directly related it back to the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five with the message,
Yep.
right? Because to
Yeah.
me, to me, it
Yep.
was the next generation of that same song. You know what I mean?
Great point. Great
Yeah,
point, man.
yeah. That's the first thing that I think of when I think of that song.
Oh, that just hit me like a stone, because you're 100% right. You're
Hmm.
100% right. Shoot.
Yeah.
Um.
What's your next one?
So my next one, I'll go with Eric.B, Rakim, and I'll go with Know the Ledge. And I think I'll go with that one because I remember that was the first Eric.B and Rakim's song that I heard, and it made me just kind of like, whoa, what is this coming on? Like, just his flow, just his lyrics.
Rakim
Like,
really is the father of flow, isn't he? Like,
oh
and
man.
I think they even made mention of that in this episode. He before him, nobody had an idea what flow was.
No, that's you're right. They did say that, and it's like, what is this thing that sounds so good? Oh, that's flow. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, man, for sure. What's your second one?
Uh, Jeez, right off the top, eh?
Yeah, it's tricky,
Smooth
man. Sorry.
Operator. Big Daddy Kane, Smooth Operator.
I
I love
love
that
it.
song because that's the one that's just slap after slap. He's got all of these like all of these witty comments. You know, he is such a smooth operator, so calm, cool, and collected, and still just beating you up with line after or bar after bar, right?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited to listen to these four songs because I know how great they are, and I hope people listening have a chance to listen to them too, because these are some bangers, and like you said, man, this is where it all started, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if you
for
like
sure.
if you like hip hop now, or you're trying to get into it, it's always good to know the foundation, right? Like, when you're building a house, when you're putting on, that extra stuff, it's good to know that the foundation was good, right? Like, it was well supported, and with these cats here, it definitely was, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, strong foundation.
I love it, dude. All right, thank you for doing this again with me, Dakota. I'm having a lot of fun, man.
Absolutely, buddy. It's a blast. I enjoy it.
Awesome. All right, until next week, take care and have a good one, man.
Yeah. Signing off.
Signing off.